Let's go Broncos country. We're finally here to break down the draft. I'm joined by my good friends Mark, Jeremy, as well as Kodiak, and we're gonna break down every single pick. We'll get through kind of what we feel like our favorite picks were, if we had a least favorite, all those stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do a prize picks too. Shout out to them for sponsoring David Talks Broncos. Guys, get in the chat. Be sure to like, hype, subscribe. Get all your thoughts in here. We got a lot of our consistent people in here, which is great to see. And I don't know, guys. I'm wondering if this is the best draft we've had in the Sean Payton era. I think that might be my hot take right now. We haven't even seen these guys play, but I think this draft, outside of drafting Bo Nix in the draft a couple of years ago, man, this draft just made so much sense to me. It made so much sense. But guys, I think this would be a fun way to kick off the show. I just want to hear what your favorite pick was. Then we can kind of get into all the fun stuff. So we'll start with Jeremy and work our way around. Who was your favorite pick and why?
After waiting 2 days basically to pick somebody, and then it being a defensive tackle we really didn't focus on, starting day 3 off, I was just like, come on now. We got to pick up some of our guys here. And the guy that we had talked about so much and the guy that fits our system so well, running back Jonah Coleman out of Washington. That's going to be the guy that's just probably going to get the most impact from this draft class immediately, I would assume. And then you see the videos after the fact of him like calling it that he's coming to the Broncos, that he was like, that was my best visit. Him standing at the podium, like kind of manifesting it. Then it's like, how do you not love this guy? It was destiny for him to be a Bronco. So I'm going to go with him. Start it off.
All right. Kodiak, your favorite player.
Okay, my favorite pick. These kind of go hand in hand because I was pumped when we took Justin Jolie. I was like, man, he was easily the best tight end available. He was my pre-draft tight end 3. I know that he was really high on a lot of people's boards. But the reason Dallin Bentley was my favorite pick was because it did what we wanted the Broncos to do. The reason that Dallin Bentley was my favorite pick is because coming into the draft, I was like, all right, we're lucky if we leave with 1 because this regime doesn't really seem to value that. But then it's a guy that we like. I know, David, you talked about him quite a bit on your channel. I was ankle deep in all the tight ends this year since we really, really needed one. If you had told me the tight ends that were potentially available at 256, I would have thought maybe Nate Borkature, but the Jaguars ruined that plan 4 rounds earlier. And, Dallin Bentley, I'm not surprised he was still there, but you know what? The profile is very good, okay? Only had 1 year of production this past year, but man, second best ADOT in the tight end bucket this entire draft cycle, only behind Michael Trigg, who's an oversized wideout. So legit yak too, legit inline blocking ability. So the reason Dallin Bentley was my favorite pick was because it did what we all wanted the Broncos to do. It cemented the fact that they knew they had to take 2 tight ends. And like I said, I was feeling great if we got 1. I thought we would be lucky to get 1, but we got 2. And that's why I was so pumped.
Yes. Wonderfully said, man. Mark?
Yeah, it's tough. I just really enjoyed day 3, man. I thought it was phenomenal. I think on the surface, you got to love the Jonah Coleman pick just because I feel like of all the picks, he's going to be the guy that I think has the biggest impact, at least in year 1. He's a perfect fit. I think he's a very ready-made prospect. So I love that we got that out of the way. I think it helped kind of settle everyone down after the day 2 shenanigans. But I want to talk about Red Murdoch too, man.
Yes.
I loved that pick. I love that we addressed every single one of the positions that we had all talked about we wanted to make sure we get. Like, my ideal draft would be that we got a defensive lineman, an offensive lineman, a tight end, a safety, and an inside linebacker. And we did all that. And to get Red Murdoch and not give him a choice to go and sign elsewhere, I think is awesome. But I think he's going to be a good player, man. Super, unbelievable production at Buffalo. There's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but he's going to be really fun to follow. But, I think it was such a great draft overall. And it makes it even funnier going back and looking at the day 2, the reactions, the crash outs that we had yesterday. It had me literally in tears. I was laughing so hard. Because I was like, dude, if we only knew that 12 hours later, everything was going to be fine. It made it even better. So it was an awesome draft.
Yeah, man. I was going to talk about Red Murdoch. You know what? I'll go with Jolie. Rowan's bringing him in here. I mean, you guys know I was a big Jonah Coleman fan, so I'm really pumped that he's here. But Rowan's saying, Justin Jolie doing the Greg Jennings Jr. thing, putting the team on his back with the broken freaking leg. Yeah, dude, we got 2 tight ends here with real juice. And Jolie, man, I think he's going to be such a massive downfield weapon. And he's not one of these one-dimensional tight ends where you got to say, can he develop as a blocker? I think both him and Bentley, they can do both things. They can catch the ball, they can make guys miss, and they can block. But, man, it was awesome to see the Broncos move up to go get him, too. Just showing that they believed in this guy as well. And we all would have thought something seriously crazy must have happened for the Broncos to end up with both Jolie and Dallin Bentley in this year's draft. And guys, I don't get it, man. Like the Jacksonville Jaguars GM Gladstone, dude, this guy was picking off guys that didn't even have like draft profiles on like NFL Network. And like, it wasn't just like one bong hit pick like Caleb Lohner. It was like bong hit picks from like start to finish throughout that draft. And I mean, thank God, because it allowed some guys like Harold Fannin to kind of, or not Harold Fannin, Justin Jolie to kind of fall through the cracks, Dallin Bentley to fall through the cracks, man. But this tight end room, I think it's now going to be respectable, which is great. And am I going too far? Yeah. Am I going too far to say, Mark, that these guys are going to be starting tight ends for us next year?
Starting? Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that
well, not in 2026, in 2027.
Oh, yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. I think that there's a really good chance at least one of them is. A big-time key contributor. We just got to find out a way to get rid of Troutman. I just don't think, as long as Payton's here, I don't think Troutman's going anywhere. Like, if Payton coaches for 10 years, Troutman will retire, and then they'll hire him as a tight ends coach probably, which at that point it's fine, I guess. But I think they could be great contributors, man. Dallin Bentley's he's going to be really interesting to see, too, just the kind of blocker that he is. But Justin Jolie, bro, I can't wait. Like, even if they don't end up doing anything this year, at least – it's a fun storyline. Like how sick is Broncos country of talking about root beer Nate? Like the only thing we say about Nate Atkins is that he smokes root beer vape, right? And then obviously Lucas Kroll. Sometimes we forget that he even plays. He's like the Drew Sanders of the offense, and then we're just like hoping and praying, the best for Evan Ingram. So it's going to be nice to have legitimate, fun, young talent to talk about, which I'm pumped about.
I mean, it's going to be cool, like, complaining about the game day inactives and the lack of elevations. It's not going to be A.T. Perry this year. We'll be wondering why Dallin Bentley wasn't active for this game, or Tyler Onyedum, or one of these guys, man. Like, it's nice to actually have some talent on this team that we just haven't had. So this gives me a lot of hope. I want to get through some of these comments. Paul Shatter saying T.O. I don't know what that means. Timeout. I don't know. Hollywood.
Turnover.
Tyler
Onyedum.
Oh, T.O. Okay, I guess we can call him T.O. Jolie gives me Harold Fannin vibes. That's what Hollywood Broncos saying. I agree.
Let's hope.
Now, Mark, you had another comp on your video that you did on Justin Jolie. Maybe we get into that right now, man. Didn't Dane Brugler comp him to somebody that I don't know. Okay, I think this would be pretty exciting.
My initial like comp off the top was Harold Fannin because of like how you can be kind of that F, and they used him a little bit as like a lead blocker. But you're right, there is somebody else, and now I have to remember who it was that Dane
I remember
had.
who it was. If you want me to tip you off.
Was it Owen Daniels?
No,
No, Owen Daniels was another tight end that I had a comp
it
to.
was
Who was it?
it was Jonnu Smith.
Oh, yes, exactly. Perfect. Yep. John Smith makes a lot of sense too. And I feel like Fannin, and I think that was the comp for Harold Fannin coming out last year was John Smith. But yeah, that's a great comp, man. And if we get that kind of production from Justin Joly, I think we'll be thrilled with that. That would be a hell of a comp for him. But I'm excited to see how we utilize him, man. Just really want to see where he lines up and how he looks against NFL competition. But that's a really good comp too, is John Smith.
Yeah, we've been dying for Jonnu Smith over here. Now, I think to play devil's advocate here, I guess a little bit, man, I would like to hear everyone's maybe most questionable pick. I'm curious about this one. I know we were all freaking pissed, kind of pissed. Like Tyrone Yedem, at 66. Who the heck is this guy? You go and I don't know. For me, I still feel like it's probably the most questionable pick, frankly, because I didn't spend much time looking at a lot of the defensive linemen outside the big guys in this year's draft. But man, I'm curious. Have you guys kind of warmed up to him? How do you guys feel about the pick a couple days later? Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm good with it now. I'll tell you what. You watch all day one, and then wait that long for day two. Do a little bit of a trade back. That was the thing that kind of surprised me. If we would have traded back 20 picks and then picked Onyedim, I would have been like, that makes sense. 4 felt like, oh, there's somebody in range here that they don't want to get away from. And then they picked Onyedim. And I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure you could have went back 20 picks. But that's me like not knowing, apparently he got a lot of buzz like the week leading up. So maybe they just had zeroed in on him and was like, let's get what we can. And look, sometimes there's deals not there to be had. Like you have to have a partner, right? So that's the only deal they had to trade back. Maybe that makes more sense. But I'm glad they did trade back and then picked him up because that allowed us to come back up for Justin Joly. But watching his tape since we've picked him, it makes way more sense of why that's the biggest loss of the offseason was JFM. And it's just an honest, or just an obvious comp, to be, oh, this is what this guy can do. You're never going to pay JFM $20 million for 40% of the snaps, right? But you can bring in a guy who has a great first step, is going to be chomping at the bit, going to come in fresh. And then when you sit down, Zach Allen or whoever you're sitting down, and then you bring in this fresh guy who's got this intense first step, he can do damage. And you don't need him to be like everything right away. He can work his way into it. So after sitting with it, I'm like, I totally get this pick. But at the time I was like, who? I joked in the Discord that the way the guy pronounced it, it sounded like, are you dumb? And then I was thinking, yes, we are. But no, we weren't.
We all are.
Yeah, Kodiak, how do you feel about Onyedim? Couple days removed from or 3 days, I guess, removed from his pick?
I mean, on draft night, I was like, all that for that. I'm kind of with y'all. Like, if you're ever going to reach, at least be it at a premium position and at least be it somewhere that makes sense. Okay. Last year I talked about Harvey and Bryant. I thought those guys were just completely off the map. I thought those guys were just insane reaches for where they were. And maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I don't know. We still have to play out. Things look good for them in year one at least. But, thinking about the pick, I can't sit here all this time talking Broncos and be like, we need to improve the pass rush. We need to upgrade the defensive line. We need to continually pour resources into the defensive line and then be upset when they do exactly that. Just not a guy I really had on my radar. But yeah, like I said, I would have preferred a guy like you guys know. I was big on Proctor. I was big on Halton, like Mark was. I asked everybody, before the pick, who do you want it to be? Mark said Halton. I would have been ecstatic with him, but yeah, I guess Onyedim. But once again, I just would have preferred somebody that had a little bit safer of a pass rush profile. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff out there about how he was used at Iowa State, and that not necessarily didn't translate to pressures or anything like that. And I think he does fit into what the Broncos needed. I think obviously JFM replacement was huge on the needs for this offseason. I thought it was, very imperative that they got that. Only critique is maybe I wish it would have been a big fat dude, because we've never had that. And against the physical teams, we just continually get run over. And it's kind of a trade-off. But once again, it makes sense. Okay. And if you're going to reach, at least be it at a premium position. So I guess, yeah, once again, that's my least favorite pick, but it's one that's stomachable for me.
I think so too, man. Mark, final thoughts on Onyedem?
Yeah, I mean, I think they both touched on it a lot. I think, for me, I always look at, I feel like I kind of prepared myself a little bit more this draft to not necessarily fall in love with a particular person. I mean, I obviously still, naturally you still do, but like a particular player, but more so evaluated on, okay, I just want it to be about the right position. I think the big thing about last year's draft, nobody, and if they thought that Jahdae Barron was a bad player, that they'd be lying. Like, we all knew Jahdae Barron was a good player. I think the problem was we just didn't like the position that he was at. So on the flip side, it's like, if they go with a position that I would like to see the Broncos address, doesn't necessarily have to be the guy that I like. And obviously, 32 other NFL teams agreed that Grayson Halton was in the 4th round and Tyler Onyedem was, a higher ranked player. So again, I liked the position. It was just, wasn't really expecting him, but I'm excited to see what he can do, man. He seems like he's got a ton of upside, super athletic guy. And it was an incredibly unpredictable draft. So,
yes.
We'll see how it works. But what I love, I just really am glad that we were able to trade back even a few spots to get him, because that trade back ultimately resulted in us being able to trade up to get Jolie. So it ended up working out perfectly.
Yeah, I would imagine Jolie would have gone off the board before pick 152 or whatever we got. Now, Jeremy, you're bringing this up. You have a conspiracy theory? You think we were all in on Max Clare at 62?
I have a feeling, just because the trade back right then just felt like, okay, they kept saying they had their 6, and we were all debating on who it could be. It makes sense if you go back and look at like that. Yep. It was like Rodriguez, you had Trotter, you had Claire, you had certain guys. He seems like a guy that they would really like. He would be a Troutman upgrade. We didn't necessarily love him on this show, but I could see that being the case. And I felt like we got it sniped last year with Mbuka, and I felt like maybe that happened again. But it all is well that ends well. To end with Jolie and then Bentley, I'm fine with it. But I do feel like they might have. And the other thing I will say about Onyedem, we waited so long that it felt like our first pick, so it was like so valuable. But it's a 3rd round pick.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's like in any other draft, if your 3rd round pick is a guy that you're not that familiar with, but has good upside and stuff, you're like, oh, this looks like he could be good. But because we waited so long, it was like, who, what? We're so like, we focused on 62 for so long that was why there was a letdown, which is unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
But
I can't remember how much we've talked about it. I think, Mark, you talked about it quite a bit, but just how big fit is, for this team. And I feel like Tyler Onyedem, the pick kind of feels like the Pat Bryant pick last year a little bit. Where like there were some people that were like higher on Pat Bryant, but maybe could see him as a late 3rd, like early 4th type of guy or something like that. Or, other people saw him as like closer to a 6th round pick or something like that. I feel like that was kind of the feeling when it came to Onyedem getting picked, which is like, in a lot of these draft gurus are saying, well, he might have been a little bit of a reach, but like I can see like why the Broncos liked him. I'm hoping that he's somebody that kind of has a Pat Bryant like camp where we just really see his physical upside and, that it makes sense. I'm just glad it wasn't, again, like a Jacksonville Jaguars or Caleb Lohner, like what pick there at 66. Might have been a little bit of a reach, but if he fits better than maybe some of the other guys, sure, I guess.
Yeah, like it would have really sucked if we felt like we reached at a position and the position was like edge, and then you're like, it's like, just kind of a double whammy. So,
Trey Moore. What if that was the pick? Trey
Moore.
Moore.
No, dude. And credit to the Broncos. If your theory is true, Jeremy, that maybe Max Clare was the last of those 6, By the way, I want to hear, guys, like if you think Onyedem was one of the 6, but credit to the Broncos for not being dumb at 62. If all 6 of your guys weren't there, you trade back a few spots, which is what they should have done last year with Egbuka off the board. And now here we are, man. So you at least got some more ammo to use. But yeah, do y'all believe what they said about Onyedem being part of the 6? Mark?
No, not a chance.
Kodiak, Jeremy?
Sean Payton kind of said that without saying it, and then George kind of gave him the look, but he added like a 7-8 guys at the end of it. So you're like,
Right.
oh, he was in the 7-8 tier. That was right after the draft that day. So, no, and I feel like if you believe that, there's no way you can believe it, because it's like if one of those guys were there, then you just wouldn't trade back.
Thank you.
Exactly.
You take
Unless
them.
all 6 of them were there, and you're only trading back 4 spots, so you know you're guaranteed to get one. And there's no way they're going to be able to predict that in a way. So yeah, I mean, if their guy was there, they would have taken him.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side, if they loved Max Clare a lot, which I think he was one of the guys, but if they really liked him, I think they would have probably tried to move up a couple spots. But it was one of those where it was like, let's just see how it goes, and then we'll kind of roll with it. So it worked out.
Yeah, I think so. Now, one other player I want to talk about on the lines, and our good friend Mikey freaking hates Cage Casey, man. This guy, dude, Cage Case me. He might be Mikey's
Why?
number one enemy already right
It's a
now.
weird
on
hate.
Twitter. Yeah, man. He's not a fan. I think we all kind of have some different thoughts on Cage, but again, Mark, you've put out a really good video, on him, making the case for him. What are some things, some traits that you really like about him that you felt like made sense for his selection by our Broncos?
Well, I just feel like with him, his only issue is that he's not very strong. He's not NFL. He needs to get stronger. He needs to get like a little bit more of a solid base. But, he's a technician. He's someone that's technique is really good. He's obviously very well coached and has a high football IQ. Kodiak in his video talked about he had 0 holding penalties, right, in 41 career starts. I think he had a false start and an unsportsmanlike conduct or something absurd in 40 in like over 1,000 snaps. So I just think he's really solid, man. He's got the length. I think his athleticism is adequate, but you could turn that more into a power guy if you could just get him into a right strength and conditioning program. What I'm really hoping the most with Cage is that they at least give him a legitimate opportunity to be a tackle first. I don't want to have him like, we're going to start him off at guard. You can always resort to that, but I would really like to see them try to develop him, let him play tackle. But yeah, I think he's been really solid. I mean, tons of experience.
You said he's never gotten a holding penalty?
No.
Never. Only 2 false starts and an unsportsmanlike.
In 41 straight starts.
Yeah.
That's
In
insane.
college. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
insane. I
I
know
didn't
he
even
played
know
in
you
the
could do
Mountain
that as an offensive lineman.
yeah, it's ridiculously good.
tackle.
And I understand the strength thing. It was the same exact thing that they said about Matt Paradis when we took him from Boise State Broncos. Like, they run a very Shanahan-esque type of O-line where they go very light on purpose to try to get guys moving. All right, it's going to be a little bit of a transition coming into the league, but it doesn't mean this dude can get, stronger. But he's also already technically sound. So to me, that's a lot easier to coach up than someone that's just an absolute mess or like way too big or way too raw. So I'm really excited. I love the Cage Casey pick, man. I was pumped.
I wasn't the biggest Cage Casey guy, but I'm warming up to it the more that I learn about him. I like his positional versatility. Kodiak, do you think he is a guard or a tackle?
I don't like if there's any position that I could really trust the Broncos with, they know how to find these O-line gems, man. And I would, like Mark, I'm along the lines of I hope he's a tackle. Okay. I know that there's been a lot of debate on the internet over the past few years about measurables, and in this past year specifically after the Super Bowl, like how long do you have to be to play tackle? But you know what? He's one of those guys that, man, I was like, how did I not see that fit before we made our pick? Because obviously we know that we like to go light on the trenches. We have the second lightest offensive line in the league this past year, and he's about 310. I say that as if he's not 170 pounds more than me. But as far as if I think he's a true guard or a tackle, like I think he showed enough at Boise State to where he can play tackle. Now, there's always going to be questions with the ceiling. There's always going to be questions of, how good of a tackle will he actually be? Like, obviously, he was phenomenal in college, but that doesn't always translate to the NFL. But yeah, once again, I feel like he has the makeup to play tackle. And once again, I hope they don't do the whole like, oh, we'll start him inside and then flex him to tackle later nonsense. I know that they announced him as a guard, but our ideal outcome is that he's a tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy, what do you think about Cage Casey?
I like the pick. I mean, you remember when Billy Turner signed that huge contract to leave being our swing tackle to go to Green Bay? And you're like, what? Like, we were hoping to re-sign him for like a decent contract and he got crazy paid. Like, these swing offensive linemen that can play different positions is so valuable. And if you can get one, you kind of cannot wait till like the 6th, 7th rounds for that. Like, you kind of have to jump at those when they're available because they just get taken quick. So after thinking, it's not a sexy pick. We're all excited for like, skill position guys, but after thinking about it, I'm like, that's a really, if you're not trusting Palcho to like move inside and you want him to stay on the right and be more of a tackle, then this guy has versatility. Even though he only played tackle. But they played him at different places during the Senior Bowl and he was really good. So I like the pick, and I do think his body is a guard, but and they announced him as a guard. So I think that's probably hinting towards the plan. That's exactly what they did with Dalton Reisner. And rookie year, Dalton Reisner was really good, and I had high hopes. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was an injury. I don't know what happened, but fell off after that. I don't know what happened. But hopefully Cage ends up being a guy that can maybe fill, whether it's tackle or guard, if you get him to be a starter for multiple years. The thing I like the most about him is he's like a technician of a football player. And that's on the offensive line. I would rather have a technician that needs to put on a little bit of size and strength than a guy who's really strong who has no clue what he's doing. So,
It was the same thing with Luke Wattenberg, man. I'll never forget it. All you hear is like, he needs to get stronger. He's not going to hold up. And it's funny because if you look at all of the mid to late round tackles, every single scouting report, he needs to add play strength. It's like, okay, like we get it. And then Luke Wattenberg comes in his rookie year, genuinely the worst offensive lineman prospect I've ever watched. I remember that preseason game. I actually felt bad for him. I didn't care because it was preseason. So I genuinely felt bad. He was getting annihilated. And then, well, what do you know? The next year, he's our starting center, and he's gotten better every year. So, yeah, let these guys develop, man. Zach Strief knows what he's doing. And again, I mean, to hate a tackle in the 4th round is wild. That's crazy. I didn't know Mikey felt that way about Cage.
I have a favor, David. Will you highlight the T. Fish's comment right there? He says that he thinks he wants Palcho to go back to the jumbo role, like the 6th, the reporting eligible offensive line role. When he played guard, we lost that big boy magic. What do you guys think about that? When he was playing guard, do you guys think 73 reporting eligible was not as exciting as 63 reporting eligible? Or do you think like our jumbo package was really good at the beginning of the year, so he might be on something?
No, I like the idea of Frank Crum, our best tight end at the time, catching footballs, man, and out there blocking. So, that was cool.
Yeah.
I was fine. Palcho's, he's so damn valuable. But I think the person that should be the happiest about the Cage Casey pick in this entire panel is David, because that means Matt Peart's probably gone, right?
Dude. Yes. Matt Peart's gone. Here's the thing. I still think Palcho is a better right tackle than he is left guard. And let's see. Paul had this question on here, and this is a really great question. He's only played left tackle at Boise State. Where's the versatility if he only played one position? This is a great question, and I'll explain it this way. You guys chime in if you got any other thoughts, but left tackle is the most athletic. Like, you got to be the most athletic lineman typically plays left tackle, and he's shown that he can be a beast at that at Boise State. He has some physical limitations that might keep him from having enough athleticism, possibly for left tackle. But with the the way the rest of his body is built and how he plays, he can play to the inside. And a lot of this is verified through his pro day work, through his private workouts that he's had with teams. He talked about this, how they've worked him out all across the line and that he's even comfortable playing center. So, and he kind of does have that body to where, like, if he was 6'9", there's no way he could play tackle. If he was 6'9", or center, he can't play guard. But he's right at like 6'5". He's at the threshold, I think, where he's got the versatility to play on the entire line, and that's clearly something the Broncos value. With Palcho, with Pert, even though it didn't really work out, Gargiulo being a guard and center. Like, I think he's more of a guard. My hope is that the Broncos, they decide early on what he's going to be, and they don't yank him around, man. Let him develop at that position so that he can be a future starter, whether that's left guard, right tackle, or left tackle. Although left tackle, I still think will be quite a few years away. Mm-hmm. So, any other thoughts on that?
No, you had it on the head.
Yep, well said.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, all right, cool. And there was another question that I had on here. Okay, we'll go with this. I lost it really quick. All right, Miles Scott, taken in the 7th round. Todd saying if Denver had gotten quarterback Haynes King, that would have been an A+. I was hoping they would have taken Haynes King. Or maybe even, I think Garrett Nussmeier was still on the board, right, at that pick, or was it right after? It would have been great for the Broncos to use that pick on the quarterback. It just didn't happen. But yeah, probably like Onyedem and Miles Scott. No offense to either of them. Maybe it's because they're just defensive players that I didn't watch a lot out of, man. I just they don't necessarily have the same aura, but there's a lot of things that I do like about Miles Scott. But Jeremy, I'll have you kick it off. What were your thoughts on this pick? What does he bring to the Broncos?
Former wide receiver with Pat Bryant at Illinois, and both Palcho apparently and Pat Bryant talked to the Paytons about him, and just still learning the position. Obviously, he's played 3 years as a safety, but if you look, a lot of people had him being drafted earlier, and that's one position where we lost another guy, PJ Luck. That's probably our second biggest loss of the offseason. So I like them addressing the position, and they did it with somebody who they trusted as far as who the person is, who the player is. And we also have like Devin Key and, JL Skinner. So he doesn't need to come in and be like needed right away. So I like the pick because he's ascending, and that's always good in the 7th round. But yeah, Carson Ryan and Nussmeier were still available at that point.
Dude.
But we ended up with Bentley and, Murdoch. So it's all good. But I do like them addressing it. It's interesting that they drafted him at 246 and then waited on Bentley and Murdoch. I always find like that little bit of like chess match, like who's going to take who do we not? They obviously were more worried about him than the other guys. So that's interesting to me. But safety is someone we needed to address, and you don't want to trust the undrafted free agent Skyke, whether you're not going to get those guys or not. I would love to have the last 2 picks of the draft every year. I mean, to be able to kind of like reach out and figure out who might be able to get signed and who's not is such a valuable commodity. And those points, or those the draft picks points wise are like worthless. But in my opinion, like having those last 2 picks were so valuable, because you're like, you got buzz that Red Murdoch's not going to come to your team probably unless you draft him. You take him, same with same with Bentley. Not like he doesn't want to come, but just like, if he has every option, he might not come to you. So, yeah, I like the pick. I didn't expect it to be him necessarily, but safety was smart.
Yeah. Mark, did you have any thoughts on Miles Scott?
Well, the only thing that really bothered me, and this is like, again, nitpicking, right? The same reason I said, oh, well, I wanted Grayson Halton, but I'll deal with it because like the smarter people know. I would have liked for us to take Carson Ryan at 246.
Oh, that would have been freaking amazing.
You know what I mean? And then instead of Bentley, maybe Miles Scott's still there or another safety or whatever. Because that killed me when I went back and looked at it. Like, we took Miles Scott, then Carson Ryan went 2 picks later. So, listen, Dallin Bentley might end up being better than Carson Ryan. I think they profile very similarly. I like that. Carson Ryan's a little bit younger. But, again, that's just me kind of, nitpicking a little bit. But Miles Scott seems like he's really intriguing player. Someone that, I like the size. He looked like he played in the box a lot. So he'll come in and compete. We needed to add to the back of that room with JL Skinner and Devin Key. So, yeah, he's definitely the forgotten man in this draft, I think. But he could be really good.
I know who David was not happy we got sniped in the 7th round.
Dude, that's right.
Jam Miller. No, it was
no, dude. When in our Discord somebody put they picked Jam Miller. Dude, I felt my stomach
right
drop. I'm
Miles
like, no,
Scott
we
thing?
did not just draft Jam Miller.
Come on, David. That would have been for great content for the next couple
been.
weeks, though. It would have been a blast.
No, but your guy Eli Heidenreich, great before the 246 got
man.
picked too.
Oh, Heidenreich would have been great. Is this Boise State fan 28? Is that what BSU stands for? Why am I obsessed with Haynes King? Go watch the tape. Tell me he's not Taysom Hill that can actually play quarterback. All right? I think he'd be a great fit for this. But he went with Carolina. That hurt too. It is what it is. But I guess my only qualm with this pick is that and I think it was the lowest grade I gave, which is like, it's a 7th round pick. It's whatever. He's like our 6th safety right now on the depth chart. And like, I understand like probably maybe needing some new blood, but it's something different. If you're drafting Caleb Downs or like AJ Halsey, right? In the 2nd round and like, he's going to be an eventual starter on this team. Is this guy ever going to be better than like what Devin Key is right now? I mean, we have no idea. And I just had wished that we had addressed maybe more of a need, but I know that's splitting hairs, guys. Don't get at me too much. I'm excited to see what Miles Scott can do. Okay. But 6 safeties is a lot. I still like JL Skinner. I know that there are a lot of people that don't. I know Kodiak, you don't like JL Skinner, do you?
It's not that I don't like him. It's that I think he's the odd man out. Like my early prediction for the 53-man roster, I think if there's any surprise cut that you could see coming, I think, I don't expect every draft pick to make the team. Ideally, I would like them to. But JL Skinner, I feel like just doesn't have enough coverage upside. And I know that they threw out Key when Locke got hurt this past year against the Chargers in Week 18. Anderson, Bengals fans were saying they never saw him at safety, which that's kind of like a why did you never get a chance on the shittiest defense in the league sort of thing. But still, you look at the scouting reports from him back from 22 or whatever, then, a lot of people were really in on his coverage ability coming out of Toledo. And then Miles Scott only played the position for 3 years, was a green dot guy, which we know that that buys you like a lifetime of job security with the Broncos. And
yeah, you're a great listener.
Yeah, of course. But either way, I think, it's going to be good to have all this competition at the safety room because one of these guys does need to develop because Brandon Jones, phenomenal player here, been awesome here, probably not going to get extended as of right now. So ideally, you add some competition, and I just want all of our safeties to have some coverage upside, and I think all those guys do. I think JL Skinner does not. That's the only thing. The only time we saw Skinner in coverage was this past year against the Eagles, and my God, did that almost go horrific.
He almost screwed the game up for us.
Oh, my God. That was like this. He was like this close to being in Forsyth territory.
Man.
I will still defend JL Skinner. That was the worst call ever. It was worse than a Riley Moss pass interference call. But that's okay.
I agree.
I'm with you.
Okay, well, did we miss anybody? We talked about everybody, right? Jonah Coleman. Oh, Kodiak. Mike Washington had a 1st round grade on your board. You You called it months before he even ran that 4.38 or whatever he ran, 4.33, that he was a first-round talent. Were you upset to see the Broncos choose Jonah Coleman over him? And did it get even worse when you saw the Raiders select him just a few picks later?
Well, first of all, the AFC West chose my guys all weekend long, okay? For every Saturday I spent this past year watching Arizona, now I get to watch Traden, Genesis, and Dalton Johnson in my division. So who has it worse than me? But no, even though Mike Washington had a first-round grade on my board, it's more about the unique traits and the athleticism. Like a running back with that athletic profile is never going to be available at that spot where the Raiders got him ever again. It just won't. That being said, ball security issues, fumbling issues, like I get it. I was going to be significantly higher on him than the rest of the NFL was, and they passed on him a lot. But no, I'm not upset with the pick. I think Coleman makes more sense for our backfield, and he went to a horrific spot. Like, I'm just going to be honest. So I don't think he really is going to be maximized there. Like, he landed behind Jetty. That's about as bad as a spot you could have gotten. So, yeah, once again, I'm not really too concerned about it. Once again, he's a guy that I was high on, but I knew the NFL wouldn't be as high on.
Let me piggyback on that real quick.
Yeah.
I think what this draft showed us is the frustrations that Sean had last season. He really addressed that. Like, he was like, I want guys who catch the football.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Dallin Bentley, no drops. Justin Jolie, no drops or one drop in like career. Like, I don't want guys who fumble the ball. Jonah Coleman doesn't fumble. I don't want guys to get penalties. Cage Casey, like he was like, I want high floor, reliable depth. I don't want to be trusting in, it would have been good but he dropped it. Or like he was just so tired of that I think they really prioritize ball security and just the stupid penalties and things that can swing a game. You know what I mean? And that was so evident in this draft.
Mm-hmm. Wonderfully
If
said.
I had to guess, man, I bet you Mike Washington was a 7th round undrafted free agent on Sean Payton's board. I feel like that's the kind of running back that would drive him crazy. I like Mike Washington a lot. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. But I was like, I can't see a situation where Sean would like him because he's not going to be able to pass protect. And yeah, the fumbling is a problem. And sometimes like the vision, I mean, he's still pretty kind of inexperienced at the position. So it would have been cool. Like I said, I liked Mike Washington, but I never felt like he was too much of a fit here. And now the poor guy's got to get his, watch his career get ruined in Vegas. So
yeah, yeah. And another thing though, Sean Payton did say that 2 runners, because he never calls them running backs, he said 2 runners that they liked made it to 108. So who do you guys think it was if it wasn't Mike Washington?
Did he say made it, or there was 2 of them and then they were fortunate to get one? Because and I'll take your word for it, because I was like, oh, Kalen Black was the other running back that they were targeting. And because I thought I heard him say, like, then he gets taken and then you kind of wait it out. And he got said because Kalen Black got taken like the day before, kind of at the end. But if I had to guess, man, like, who I just don't feel like it would have been Mike Washington. If you're asking me, I think it's probably, there's a good chance it was probably Emmett Johnson, to be honest with you.
Honestly, so. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I could see it, but I always felt like it was Coleman or Black, because I know both of them are good at pass protection. You kind of know what you're going to get with them.
My guess would be Katron Allen.
That would make sense too.
Yeah. I had him as a fit for us all offseason, so that could have made sense too.
Dude, I'm just glad we got Coleman, man. This guy's not going to let Bo Nix get hit. That was also an issue, man, especially when JK went out. Blown pass protections. Bo Nix is getting hit. What was the game? Was it against – I'm trying to remember. Was it against Kansas City or something like that where he got hit? Or I think it might have been against the Eagles, so JK was still there. But I think Harvey or somebody blew an assignment. Bo Nix barely got that ball moving forward out of his hand. It looked like a fumble, watching it live or whatnot. But Jonah Coleman's not going to do that. He's a pro's pro. And you made a wonderful point, Jeremy. Like, Sean's sick of the mistakes, sick of the drops. All these guys can catch. They don't blow assignments, and they don't get penalties. Also, I'm not sure about Dallin Bentley. But was everybody else drafted a team captain? Or maybe not Onyedem. I don't think Onyedem was.
I think a majority of them, that kind of seems to be a trend, but I think so.
Because Coleman was. I'm pretty sure Cage Casey was.
Cage Casey was.
Red Murdoch was. Miles Scott was. Justin Jolie, I think, was.
Yep.
So that would mean 5 of their 7 picks, captains.
Yep.
And Torian York.
That's the reason Onyedem wasn't.
Yes. Dude, let's get to the undrafted guys. I think we are all gonna pick like our favorite undrafted free agent. Maybe talk about, maybe we double dip, maybe we don't. But Mark, I feel like this is your time, man. Like, you've been pounding the table all off season for this guy, and he gets signed as like the premier UDFA. Why don't you break down Torian York and why he's going to make this roster?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I got chills again. Can you believe it? Talking about Torian York. I was over the moon when I found out that I thought for sure he had gotten drafted, like I had said. And when I found out that we got him, I think he's my favorite player of anybody that we drafted. Like, if we're including the undrafted free agent guys, he's my favorite of all of them. I think he makes the overall draft an absolute A, maybe even an A+. I think here's the thing about Torian York, man. Like, maybe the NFL is eventually going to learn that measurables aren't everything. There's always examples of undersized guys that just ball out. And you're actually seeing it more and more at the linebacker position. I looked into this a lot because I was like, realizing, a lot of the linebackers coming out of this draft class are small. They're all undersized. Kyle Lewis got drafted high. And then you start looking, man. I mean, Bobby Wagner was an undersized guy. D. Winters is an undersized guy who was drafted and now just traded over draft weekend for a 5th-round pick. Even Dre Greenlaw is an undersized guy. Ivan Pace, who kind of had a breakout year with the Minnesota Vikings, really undersized dude. And just because Torian York's arms are a little bit shorter than those guys, he must have been an anomaly. But guys, I mean, he's 20 years old. He was a starter as a true freshman. He walked on campus at Texas A&M in the SEC at 17 years old. Got some captain votes in his first year from some senior guys, like my guy Andy had said. But all he did is start every single game that he had ever played, so he never missed a game. And as a freshman, 74 tackles, 8.5 TFLs, 3 sacks, forced fumble. Sophomore year, 82 tackles, 9.5 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, 5 passes defensed and a pick. And then again, 72 tackles, 7 TFLs, a sack, and 3 pass breakups. Like, unbelievable production. He was the absolute green dot guy, the bona fide leader of the team captain in 2 of the last 3 years. The guy plays reckless, and dude, he checks off every single box that you would want from a player. Like, his injury medicals are clean. Like I said, never missed a game. Productive in the most competitive conference in all of college football on one of the best defenses. I don't get it, man. I really don't understand it. I am so confident that this guy is going to make the team. I think he's going to be someone that Sean Payton and George Payton are going to absolutely fall in love with. And just to give you all an idea, if we took him at 66 or 62, if we had trade back, I would have been over the moon about it. And we got him as undrafted. So I'm pumped, man. I think Torian York is a bona fide baller. I cannot wait to watch him play.
I was listening to Trevor Sikkema talk about Torian York, and he said that if he was taller, he would be LB1 in this class.
Yeah. Well, it's not even the taller. I trust me, I looked into this because his height and weight is not that much of an anomaly. It was the arm length in addition to that. He's like first percentile in 3 categories, and then the 4th one is the arm length. But you just watch him play, you're like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
The guy he plays with his hair on fire, man. He is so fun. But yeah, sorry, continue.
I was just gonna say, this is gonna be like the ultimate test case for like size of linebackers, because it's like, if you could test somebody's like instincts and attitude and brain, it's 100. And if you could like look at arms and 100 percentile or whatever, if you could do that for arm length and height, because he's 10, 5 and 3/4 and all that, it's like 1 percentile. So it's just like, this is the ultimate. This is the Tej Johnson. This is the whatever of the linebackers. It's like, I'm going to assume he can't do it because of his size. And then once you see him do it, you go, shoot, well, why did we pass on this guy? Or he's not going to make it. And you're going to be like, okay, if he can't make it at that size, you can't make it at that size. So it's going to be this really interesting experiment. I'm with you. I think like to see that when I saw him, you come across the Discord, like we just signed Terry and York. I was like, oh, dude, like perfect. That was the one thing. Remember last week when we were grading other people's drafts, I was like, I hated one of the drafts, like not picking a linebacker until 257. And then what did we do? We waited till 257, picked a linebacker, but it was Red Murdoch. And then you get Terry on York. It's like, oh, well then never mind. Forget the whole waiting to address it. If you get those two guys in this draft, I'm good.
Dude, if we didn't end up signing Torian York and I found out that we took Red Murdoch over him at 257, I would have been unbelievably pissed.
But Red Murdoch too.
I would have been like, I don't even care if Red Murdoch is good. That's how mad I would have been. But the fact we got them both. But yeah, man. I mean, Nakobe Dean's 5'11", but he has almost 32-inch arms, so he gets the 3rd round pick even with all the injury history. Like, it's crazy to me. I'm excited that he's a part of the case study, but at the absolute worst case scenario, he's going to be the best special teams player we have on our team.
Dude.
Yeah,
BK808 says, who was the last small great linebacker? The last good linebacker we had like a 1.45 RAS, Danny Trevathan. He was like, what? He was like 6 foot, 230. So he wasn't quite the same mold as Torian York. He was actually 237, I think. But, you know.
Did Trevathan have long arms? I didn't think so.
Maybe he did. Maybe it was, I don't know. But either way, this is going to be an anomaly regardless. But, oh, yeah, he had, 32 and a half. But also, Torian York has Torian York also has really, really small hands. Like, that was something that stuck out to me. I think he has, like, sub 9-inch hands or something like that.
Dang. Yeah, Al Wilson was
man.
definitely over 6 feet. Al Wilson was a freaking tank. Yeah, I still think Red Murdoch is like still a smaller version of Al Wilson, man. Like those middle linebackers are just built different in that era.
I was at Elway's one time. I've only been to Elway's like handful of times, but I was at Elway's and I was walking out, just going to the car, and who was walking in was Al Wilson. And I was like, oh crap. And I was like, what's up, man? Hey, how's it going? I kind of just like gave him a little like slap on the back, like on the shoulder. Dude was like, this was like 15 years after he played. Dude was still chiseled out of stone. It was unbelievable. I was like, watching Red Murdoch and people like that, Al Wilson's, is why I never played football, because you get hit with one of those guys, it's like, nah, I'm good. I'm just watching because it is violent. And they're like those old school dudes. So seeing Red Murdoch's tape and the fact that he he's the all-time forced fumbles leader in college football history is insane. And if you watch him play, you're like, I don't want to play against that guy. No. I would not want to do anything. It's violence at it's legal violence, man. Is what it is.
No, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think both of them make the roster, man. I think both of them do.
I do.
I hope so. What I loved about this draft is, unlike last year, I was so upset with the draft because not necessarily because of who we took early, but because of what we didn't do at certain positions. Okay. I was like, okay, you only added Harvey to the room. That's not good enough. You only added Ingram to the room. That's not good enough. You spent your 7th round pick on a complete gimmick pick, completely unserious pick for the tight end position. So if you're going to do that, if you're going to forego investment in the earlier parts of the draft, you have to like turn it up in the later rounds. And man, what a way to do it with Red Murdoch and Torian York. Had you given me an LB0 scenario, because we were going through all these scenarios in the draft, like, okay, you can take this one, but you kind of got to punt on this one. I would have been like, okay, if you had told me that we were getting Red Murdoch and Torian York, I was like, no way that we used one Mr. Relevant pick and one UDFA. I would have said we probably took one of them at 111 and then probably used our 5th round pick on one of them. So, and
we got 2 freaking tight ends while getting an offensive lineman and defensive lineman.
Exactly. Like this is one of the happiest I've left a Denver Broncos draft ever. Cause we all had our personal checklists. I think they were pretty similar amongst us, and they pretty much checked every box, literally every box. Developmental defensive lineman, developmental offensive lineman. Once again, the fact that we got one tight end, I was just like, okay, cool. That's Jolie is spoiling us. But the fact that we got 2, and it was a guy that we liked in Bentley, and we got 2 linebackers that we like, okay, if Jordan Turner makes the 53, fantastic. If Karene Reed makes the 53, fantastic. If Bailey makes it, fantastic. They've earned it. But it's not like last year with Kroll and Adkins and all these guys where you didn't add. So you're at least making the bottom barrel guys work for something. And that's what I loved so much about the draft.
And that's going to be tough to beat those guys out. Like, those guys are legitimate.
Bro,
a month ago,
who was the guy? Mike Go look at how big Mike Singletary was.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I have a whole list. We can have this under 6 feet running linebacker combo too. And one last note. Sorry, I totally cut you off real quick.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm still pumped up about this. But like, dude, wouldn't you rather get like the anomaly undersized first percentile size linebacker that's like incredibly smart, instinctive, is a dog, adds an attitude, rather than get like the tall, long guy who's like Isaiah Simmons and just doesn't even know how to play the position and just is like a waste of talent. I mean,
Drew Sanders.
That's the thing, man. Like Drew Sanders is perfect. Like a perfect example. Like everyone's like, oh, it's like he's got the size and the length. It's like, okay, but if the brain's not there, obviously with his case, his body is breaking down. But it's like, dude, I will always bet on the productive leader, hardworking, undersized player that's played a lot and been productive than the guy that's, the Caleb Loners, right? Just like you had talked about, like, well, he played 4 games, but my God, he's tall. It's like, I don't give a shit if he's tall.
And we have a history of those kind of linebackers, like the Wesley Woodyards and like the Brandon Marshalls.
Yeah.
Those guys were like all intelligence, and they figured it out and they found their way on the field. It was what I had an issue with Jake Golday, because to me it was like, yeah, he's huge and strong and all that, but like if he's not processing and he can't figure it out instinctively, it's Drew Sanders all over again. So Terrion York is like that box was checked his freshman year. Like, I'm all about it. I'm completely it's going to be good.
What I see right now, what Google AI is just telling me, 5'11", 230, and considered to have short arms, often noted as being in the bottom percentile. So it's just vague about it. But he had short arms.
Yeah.
Maybe he's Mike Singletary.
But like, man, D Winters, everyone was like, oh, we talked about, remember we were live and I was like, would you guys have traded for D Winters? I liked him at TCU and he was good with the Niners. He's 5'11", 227.
Man.
Nakobe Dean's 5'11", 230. Devin Bush is 5'11". We wanted him this year, 230. Nick Bolton is 5'11", 237. So just because he's half an inch shorter.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm standing up for the guys that are a half an inch short, I guess. In certain
he's
aspects,
a half inch short. He's not
I'm standing
5'11".
up for him.
But
because I'm sick of being a half an inch short too. But you know what? We can still ball.
BK was saying it's hard to shed blocks, but go look at his tape. He's shedding every block. Like,
he's
he's
also hard to see, dude. He'll just slip underneath them and just knock somebody's teeth out. He's awesome.
Yeah,
dude. To Kodiak's point, I love the fact that we brought in linebackers that know how to play inside linebacker.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
exactly.
Absolutely right.
We don't have to bet on Vance Joseph finally getting it right. I know we're coming up to time, guys, here soon, but I'm curious, were there any other undrafted guys that you want to highlight? Kodiak, I feel like one of these guys really might be up your alley. One guy that you feel like we need to keep our eye on. Is it a position not often talked about?
I mean, we'll see, but Tyler Miller, man, I'm telling you.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know where you're going with that. Unless
he's going long
snapper we brought in.
What?
Luke Basso.
Miles Kitzelman? No,
we brought in a long.
We brought in a long snapper.
Yes,
I don't give a shit about him. I know you teed that up for me. You threw me a first pitch right down the middle, but man, Fraboni's going right there next to Hufanga when I can find a way to get a Chinese knockoff of him. But Tyler Miller, in all seriousness, Tyler Miller, okay, from Iowa State. We like our super big tackles. We like our super athletic, our super lengthy tackles. And man, I was watching some Iowa State run game from this past year, and I'm telling you what, he looks coachable. He at least looks coachable. I don't really understand why he didn't get drafted, maybe it's just one of those, okay, the unit wasn't as a whole wasn't that good, so maybe he just wasn't on a lot of people's radars. But Tyler Miller from Iowa State, they gave him a good chunk of change, and I feel like, you need to turn over those developmental tackle spots. If you're talking about our interior pipeline, maybe you put Palcho as a strictly interior guy. Maybe you put then maybe you have Crum and Tyler Miller as your tackles. That might be your best case scenario to him getting like meaningful playing time on the field. But yeah, I like him a decent amount.
Right on, Jeremy. Is there a
cut
UDFA you like?
Yeah, let's just run through the wide receivers that we got.
Yeah.
TCU wide receiver Joseph Manjack. I don't know much about him, but that's
Manjack the fourth.
An A+ name. Like
The fourth makes it even better. Manjack the fourth.
Right. Joey Manjack the fourth.
He also doesn't wear gloves. He's catching that ball out there with bare hands every game.
Manjack,
like Wayne Corbett. I love that.
Yeah.
Nebraska wide receiver Dane Key. I thought that was a really interesting one. Devin Key's brother. So he had a lot of people thought he was going to get drafted. So that's a nice signing.
6'3", 210.
Yeah. Northern Arizona wide receiver Colby Katzis. This is like this little, if you like Eli Heidenreich, you should like Colby Katzis. He is like a little jitterbug type of guy himself. He's an exciting white along with Riley Moss.
An exciting white. Bro, he's fast as shit. Have you seen it? I mean, I saw something again. He was playing Southern Utah, so it was probably also that they were very slow. But my God, this dude
he's got speed, dude.
It was next level speed watching him. And he's more of like your kick returner, but he's got an outside shot just from the kick returning skills. And then the guy I really liked wide receiver wise was Virginia wide receiver Cam Ross. He was like a 7th-year senior, but dude has like kick returning ability. He's got, he might, if you're Troy Franklin, I mean, he's similar size and speed as him, but he's a good football player. Like I really liked he's going to be really good competition in that room. So pretty interesting wide receivers that we brought in.
How old is he?
I couldn't find it. I kept looking for it. No one posted it. But if you're in college for 7 years, you got to be.
He's at least 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But fun fact about Cam Ross this past year, 33 yards average for a kick return.
Yeah.
That's great. I think Colby Katzis playing at FCS. I think is Northern Arizona FCS or G6?
Big
I think
Sky.
it's FCS. But he was at 30 yards a kickoff return. So
31. Yep.
All that. Pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about that.
If you're worried, I was just gonna say, if you're worried about Marvin Mims, getting those guys as like insurance for kick returning, punt returning, that's smart.
Yeah. I think another guy that, not another guy. I think Dane Key might be. I know this is total, hypocritical with this right over there, but I just got a feeling that Dane Key is going to turn into my next A.T. Perry.
Wow. Nebraska Cornhusker being.
I know.
It's
gonna be like, why isn't this guy activated? All this stuff. He's 6'3". He can run, man. What? Yeah. We'll see how it goes, man.
What about the Cornhusker? Did you guys look into Dason McCullough at all?
I haven't.
Dude,
I'm pretty confused. And maybe somebody in the chat, if they know, or this would be homework for all of us to look into, because I found him on NFL Draft Buzz, and they were pretty they had him as a coverage linebacker, and from what I had seen, I think he played linebacker, and then he played 1 year at edge this last year, but he was a hybrid linebacker safety before. But his coverage analytics and all that stuff are super impressive. And I'm like, damn, did we just get another potential off-ball linebacker with Dason McCullough? Dude is big, 265, 240. You're going to like this one, David. Almost 34-inch arms.
Oh, yes.
And he ran a 4.59. I'm guessing he's in the upper 9s for RAS. I don't even know if they have a RAS score. But
let me see.
They listed him as an edge, but I think he's more of an off-ball linebacker. And he's got a 9.45 RAS. So this guy's really interesting. But
Oh yeah, you're putting him in at you're putting this guy in at inside linebacker. Move over, Lavelle Bailey. Got some competition.
well,
Karen
somebody said
Reed.
somebody said get Torian York, a 6'5" linebacker next to him. I'm like, Doc, let's screw Sternad and Singleton. Let's roll with the 2 undrafted guys, McCullough and York. We'll have, a super tall guy, super short dude, and just go out there and bust some people's ass, bro. I love that idea.
I didn't look much into him because he was listed as an edge. I was like, on our team, like the edges aren't really worth
no
looking
chance.
into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but no, unless it's Johnny Walker, which one of my boys stretched out the other day. He said he's an absolute mammoth of a human being and really hard to stretch. But it could be interesting. But yeah, McCullough, that's interesting. Good pull, Mark. Good pull.
Yeah. Well, I was just planning on making videos on every one of these guys, and I was like, is this the same dude? Because it was a little random. But we can't forget, guys, we got Johnny Walker on the squad still.
I know.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
We got
Farmer,
Johnny
right?
Walker. And
I was fired up about him as a UDFA last year, and then he ended up going
got
to
hurt.
IR. But
who was the USC linebacker that went later undrafted? But he was like 6'6", but he was like 230, right?
Gentry.
Gentry, yeah.
Yeah, this
Minnesota,
guy's
right?
bigger than Gentry, dude. 6'5", 240, filled out well. Yeah, 34-inch arms. Man, I'm about these Nebraska Cornhuskers. I am my interest is genuinely peaked in them. So we'll see.
Well, they're not. I mean, they're technically not corn. You got to look at them like they're not Cornhuskers anymore, right? Like I kind of started to love Emmett Johnson, but then where did Emmett Johnson go?
The
KC?
Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs. And then I was like, screw Emmett Johnson. I never liked him. Was never one of my guys.
Yeah, he's got no butt.
Exactly. I
Nothing.
was looking. I've deleted everything that talked about Genesis Smith on my channel ever since the Chargers took him.
Yeah.
Dude, that's right. All right, guys. Before we get to our wrap-ups, we're going to do one more prize pick. All right, we're going to have fun with this, okay? And we're going to do some NFL props because the Nuggets are up right now, but we're not even going to do that, all right?
They don't deserve any attention.
No.
Is there a prop on Adelman losing his job?
Dude, I hope I can make $1
Let's do the
million
Avs.
off of it.
I was about to say,
Let's bet the Avs.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to do hockey?
Avs to sweep whoever they're playing next round.
Do they have? I think they just do players.
That's
Right?
fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Let me
Let's do
see
it.
here.
Let's
Cup.
see what kind of hockey knowledge the chat's got. Let's see if they got puck knowledge too. We know they got ball knowledge.
Do you want to do? Oh, man, well, the Avs don't know who they're playing yet, right?
No.
I don't think
Okay.
It's one of 2 opponents. We know which 2 it'll be. But
All right. How about Jake Ottinger, 26 saves tomorrow night against Minnesota?
Okay. I'm going with the over. You know why? Because Minnesota all series has just been spamming shots from the point, and every game is going to go to overtime. Every game's going to be long. Every game is going to be exhausting, and all these guys are going to be beat up before they play the Avs. So I'm going with the over. Wallstedt and Ottinger are both going to make 50 saves tomorrow night. So this is a heck of a prop.
Do y'all want the Dallas Stars again?
Fuck no. No, absolutely not. I mean, both teams are really tough, but no.
no,
It's
I
kind
don't
of
want
like
anything
the
to do
Nuggets.
with the Stars.
I think it's kind of like how Nuggets fans felt about playing Minnesota again.
Well,
Okay.
I was like, screw that. You can't let it bother you. And then this has been happening, and I'm like, I don't want the Stars, bro. Nope.
I hate the Stars.
Yeah. No.
All right, what else we got here? You guys don't want to do a Miko Rantanen one, do ya?
Take the under.
2.5 shots.
Oh,
2.5
but
shots?
there
Oh,
was a
you can
minute-
only
there was
go.
a minutes one. There was a minutes one too. It was
Yeah.
like 19.75 minutes. But
I think once again,
don't
if
know,
you
he's-
go overtime, I think he hits that easily because the only guy I really think that gets more ice time than him is Heiskanen on Dallas. So I'd probably go with over.
All right, we're going over. And how about, okay, let's get to a center one. This is nice. Leon Draisaitl, 13 faceoffs won tomorrow night.
That's a lot.
I'd say
That is
under.
That is a lot. I'll say under. That feels like a lot. Like,
All right.
but Edmonton's back is against the wall, and I feel like they're going to play him on the wing and play him and McDavid more. And McDavid's obviously going to center. So
We're putting $1 on it. Shout out to Prize Picks. Use that code HMA. When you play 5, you'll get 50. Shout out to them.
Kodiak,
Guys,
you want to start an NHL channel, bro?
Dude, the reason I don't cover the Nuggets and Avs is because I don't know enough about the rest of the NHL and NBA to cover them.
I know.
But
Me
NFL,
too.
I can tell you the depth chart of almost every team.
Dude, I get so curious on how a comment section on a hockey podcast would differ from like other sports. I feel like it would be like the most respectful but also like just hilarious because the hockey guys are funny, man. But I'm the same way. Like I love hockey. Like I love the Avs, but I'm, by no means knowledgeable enough or have enough time to like look at the rest of the NHL. But
my next door neighbor, he was the starting center for Wisconsin, and he coaches.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean he's really really good. He plays with Hayduk and all those guys right now.
Holy shit.
Damn.
But he tells me all the Avs stuff. I tell him all the Broncos stuff, so it works out well.
Hell yeah.
that's great.
It's awesome.
Well, guys, thanks for joining, man. This was great. Maybe we'll have some free agency stuff to talk to you about next week if we decide to sign a second free agent. We'll have to see. Wouldn't it be funny if Tyson Anderson doesn't even make the squad? But until then, Mark, Kodiak, Jeremy, what do you guys got going on in your channels that people can look forward to? Guys, go subscribe to them. They're all linked in my description. Mark?
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I'm doing individual breakdowns of all of the college free agents once I can. There's just a few that I'm hard to find information on, but we're going to do a lot of that. And then really get into some veteran players that we could trade for or potentially sign now that it's not going to be counting against the compensatory pick stuff. So this is when it gets really fun, man. 53-man roster predictions, all that good stuff is coming in the pipeline. So
Let's go.
Yeah,
That's great.
Pumped up for that.
Kodiak?
To be completely honest, I mean, what do I have coming? Good question. I don't even know. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure something out. Either way, going to be a long off season. And I just want to say something. Thank you not only to the guys on the panel, but thank you, Broncos Country, for all the support that you've given to us throughout this off season. From the free agency tire fire to this draft this past weekend. It's been absolutely phenomenal interacting with y'all. And let's grow this, man. Subscribe to not only me, but subscribe to David and Mark. Not just on here, but on TikTok. I'm almost at 2,000 on TikTok. So give me to 2,000 on TikTok. And while you're there, David and Mark's channels are listed in my bio. So go hit them up as well.
Please. Jeremy, you'll be on here next week. Anything till then?
We got some special intros and music coming your way for Horsepower. We were gonna do it tonight, but couldn't get quite finalized. But
I got here at 8:59 Central Time. It's my fault. So
no, it's all good.
Do it next
it's all
time.
good. So we got some exciting stuff coming for that. And last quick question, just for all you, yes or no, quick yes or no around the table. After seeing a month ago, we were very upset at the free agency. We were very upset at just sticking put. And I said, give me a month. The Monday after the draft, I'll give you the grade. Now do you feel you got the Waddle trade, which we didn't even address, really? That's the first and third round picks that we had in this draft. Mm-hmm. Signing our own guys and then seeing where we ended up with this draft and Jalen Waddle, what would you give me a grade for the offseason? Go ahead, David.
B. They still were lazy in free agency.
But
yeah, I would say it was a solid B+. And it was teetering along an A because I understand it now. I get it. And I like how things have rounded out. And I still think that there's going to be quite a bit of moves that come. But last thing I'll say about that is it ended up being a really good offseason.
Yes.
But, dude, it was still boring as hell, man. Like, it still drove me crazy. That doesn't change that. Like, I won't forget just how frustrating that was until, obviously, the Waddle pick. But, no, overall, man, I thought it was great. We're in a great position, man. We're very fortunate right now to be Bronco fans.
Yes.
Yeah. Kodiak, what would you give it? C+.
They ruined my 25th birthday. My birthday present, if you guys remember, was Alex Singleton and Adam Troutman. And nah, I'm kidding. If I'm like going serious, like B-, but not for any of the reasons that you guys have mentioned. Like obviously, Did I want 49 back? No. Did I want 82 to come back? Absolutely not. But what concerns me a little bit more is teams are starting to pull from your pipeline. And I feel like, it hasn't been talked about enough that you lost BT Jordan, your pass rush consultant, and you also lost Jim Leonard. So if those are the two biggest losses of the offseason right there. Even though you lost Greenlaw and JFM, those were big losses too. But so I am kind of factoring that in. Am I happy? Like, would I take this offseason if you gave it to me now? April 27th, if you show me this after the day of the AFC Championship, I think I would.
Yeah.
I agree. That was always going to happen. Success always has people leaving and getting promotions, and that's just going to happen. It's going to be the biggest maybe thing of this a whole offseason is Davis Webb taking over play calling. That's going to be wild to see the difference. But overall, now that I'm a month away at free agency, and we saw that we did the Waddle trade, and we saw how the draft went, I would go A-, just because you didn't really lose anybody major without upgrade or without backstopping them, and everybody you brought in the draft, like I said before, is all high floor, smart, sure-handed players, and that's what this team really. If there was a weakness, that was it. So I like that a lot.
Wonderfully said, man. Yeah, it's been a good offseason, and it gets better, man. If we sign Cam Jordan or somebody like that, Von Miller, here in the next week or so, we'll see how it goes. Guys, I got to shut this thing down. Yes, Cole Kmet, please. Wouldn't that be great? We'll be back next Monday to hopefully discuss some more moves. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We had a lot of great discussion on here across all the different channel chats. So, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. Do me a favor, go subscribe again to my friends. Smash that like and hype on the way out, and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. We'll see you then, guys. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos, baby.
God bless Bo Nix. That's sacrifice. He's grabbed, and he's going to